Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We'll have JC here momentarily, and we'll have Scott Carter here on the program. If you missed it last night, Bears lose to the Texans. A lot of good NFL games yesterday, and some pretty good college football games as well. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I don't know if there's anything going on or not, but there he is.
Oh, man.
JC, that brings back memories when I was a youngster. You know why?
The Aints.
The Aints, baby.
The Aints. I don't know. Maybe these are the baiters. They bait you in to believe it, and then they just swallow you whole. I don't know, man. When I see we saw an evacuation in the stadium. Granted, we had some issues with the leg.
The crowd was phenomenal. Don't get on the crowd.
The crowd was phenomenal, but I don't blame them for hitting the road. It's understandable. It's just right now a very difficult time. Apathy is worse than anger. You get to the stages of grief, whatever those are, the 5 stages of grief. We probably have a psychiatrist on.
Are you Dr. Phil today?
Yeah, I am. I need some help because honestly, when you get apathetic, it's much worse than just being angry. Because everybody can get angry and then get over it, and you're fine. But when apathy sets in, that means you just start losing interest. And I that's the last thing I want to see is Florida fans lose interest. I don't think that'll happen, but my God. Just a tough day. Another tough day. Gee whiz.
Yeah. We got a lot of people here. All kinds of stuff here to talk about. Joey Freshwater. I wonder if he's kin to the other Freshwater. Maybe he's watching this morning from up north Mississippi. Shane, what are your thoughts on the QB switching scheme? Seems like neither QB could get in a rhythm. Get comfortable, especially when A&M control the times. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Look, let me just say this. I'm going to say it one more time. Okay. Quarterback is not the problem with this team. Doesn't matter, as I said, if John Elway played. We are not good up front. We're not a good football team anywhere. I thought special teams has been great this year. Defense is atrocious like it's been. Look, you can't sugarcoat it. I told y'all about DJ, okay? Not taking shots at him, but he's not ready to play big-time football. It's just a different game. JC, you had a guy that played a lot of football, that played the offensive line position, and told you personally that he would not play DJ. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So,
I understand, but and I respect everything he says because he knows what he's talking about. But at some point, I also see results, and when they don't change, if you don't change with them, meaning if you don't do something completely different, trying anything is better than just doing the same old routine.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like I'd like to say, was I wrong? I drank the Kool-Aid before the year, but we are not coached very well, and we are not as talented as people think. That is a terrible combination to have.
That's a shame. Yeah, third year, you'd think with this roster, things would have to be improved. You would think, wouldn't you?
Well, that is true. I think when you really look at it, from the transfer portal, now DK and Badger have been bright spots, but I think the biggest issue that we've had in the portal is a lot of the guys that we're getting in the portal were not great players where they came from, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense because the portal is not the answer to fixing everybody's problems.
Well, that's true. But if you use another school in North Mississippi, their portal transfers were starters at the other school.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's not the same though for everyone. And I think the way you build a program is you recruit high level high school talent, 4 or 5-star talent, and then you use the portal to supplement your deficiencies, QB.
Yeah. All right, so we got a bunch of stuff to try to get to some of these things if we can.
Can I just give a shout out to the beautiful people at the Harmonic Woods? I'm going to talk about something positive now.
You can take the damn thing off, JC, if you need to.
I'm taking it off. All right. The Harmonic.
Were you having trouble breathing?
No. I mean, I just did that in about 20 seconds before the show.
Good science fair project.
Well, I ate Chinese last night, so I had a bag. It just came to me, QB. Actually, I saw a Carolina Panthers fan yesterday, and that's where I came up with the idea. But at some point, the folks at Harmonic Woods are going to keep with the energy. It's the best tailgate I've ever been to. It's really a frat party, and it's a lot of fun. Energy levels are high. And I just want to thank the mayor and Brett and Dave and all the good guys and wonderful people over there. We had a great time. I was overserved, of course. And then we brought it to the game as well, as loud as we could, giving them as much support as they could expect and should get. And it unfortunately wasn't enough. So the cellar dwellers meet on Saturday in Starkville. That's it. It's the cellar dweller game.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at how poor they're playing on offense right now.
Oh, man, and they can't stop anyone either, QB. You've got two defenses right now that are just fundamentally flawed. State and Florida just don't stop anybody. And that's what we're going to see, the toilet bowl in Starkville. But
all right, I'm getting a lot of texts about Billy. Look, I think Billy's going to be fired. It's just when, and I don't think it's going to be for several more weeks because they don't really have anybody they can make the interim coach.
Not middle season. Yeah, right.
That's the thing.
QB, is it true that they have two guys who act as co-offensive coordinators that make over $1 million each? Is that true? I read that.
You mean defensive coordinator?
Oh, I thought I read offense. It has to be defense, though, right?
They have two offensive line coaches, but they have Ron Roberts and Austin Armstrong.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's crazy is our strength coach from last year that got demoted has still got some title, but he makes $750,000 and does nothing.
What? Yes. And who are these offensive guys in the booth that help him call plays, or do they call? He calls the plays, right? Or is that right or wrong?
I've said it multiple times. Play calling, your whole staff gets together, but he has the ultimate look. Again, okay. Play calling is not great, but it's just been funny to me. And I'm not taking up for anybody because we're horrible. There's no other way to put it. But everybody always wants to talk about the quarterbacks and the play calling. But we have been pathetic on the defense side of the ball for four. We've had Grantham, we've had Patrick Toney, we've had Austin Armstrong, and now we have Ron Roberts. We have four coaches, and we've been the same defense for 4 years. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. So
I get it.
But we're a bad football team.
I get it.
It's going to be a long year.
Yeah.
And so I saw this because I know, JC, you raise hell about it all the time.
I do.
All right. We all know what Billy's buyout is, right? $26 million this year, 19. Okay. Do you have any idea what Mike Norvell's buyout is if they were to fire him this year?
Gosh. Well, I know they just extended him, so I think it's extremely high, very high.
Okay. If they were to fire him this year, $68 million.
Yeah. Well, they just gave him
next year would be $59 million, and in 2026 it'd be $51 million.
Not going anywhere.
Well, they definitely can't afford it there.
No, they're paying lawyers right now to try to get out of that conference, and the conference is going to have a hard time proving damages with the way they're playing. I mean, their situation is not as dire or grim, I wouldn't think, but it might get that way if they keep playing like this. Good for Memphis. You and I both decided that we knew Memphis was going to go in there and win outright. That was the best money line bet on the board this weekend, and that's exactly what happened.
I'll tell you one bet, one pick we had that I know I had on the Peachland Dental picks. Which give me what our stats were this week.
QB was 9-8. You're 18-14 overall. I went 10-7. I'm 16-16 overall, and I had the A&M game. You don't pick that one. But the thing is that Vegas missed on some of these spreads. They missed on the Georgia-Kentucky spread, which shocked me. They missed on the Oregon State spread, which shocked me. Notre Dame, Purdue, they missed on that one.
That was the game that surprised me the most.
It's unbelievable. Where did that come from, that Notre Dame offense? But Purdue must be really, really just horrendous. I don't know. I can just tell you this. Memphis was always going to beat FSU. We both knew that, and it happened. And Florida State 0-3. They're looking at a very, very difficult. Now, listen, Norvell, he got some players last year, but you can't replace 14 guys like they tried to do and be the same team. You can't do it. That's a different team. Very different.
All right.
How about South Carolina getting screwed?
Oh my gosh, did they get screwed?
Didn't they get screwed? I mean, what is with this love for LSU? I just think South Carolina, they should have just really rioted there. I don't know.
Rioted.
I'm not promoting violence here. I'm just saying that South Carolina was in charge of that game and should have won it. Oh well. Too bad.
This is from Russ. He says, can't fire Napier until Strickland's out. They won't let Scott. All right. See, I don't know if that's going to happen. Right. The people that are going to hire the next coach are going to be the boosters. Okay. They're going to be the boosters. Because I think Jeremy Foley was a great AD, but Jeremy did not hire Spurrier. He did not hire Urban. He didn't hire either one of those.
Right.
He hired McElwain and Zook were his two football hires. So I think people.
Yeah, he hired Billy Donovan. That's what got Jeremy Foley on the map. Listen. I'm just really, if we're going to become Auburn and let the boosters run the ship that's sinking, then
I have no problem with who the boosters want. So
that's right. Well, that's still, he's already got a job. They want that.
Yeah,
but we'll see. It's a buyout situation there too. I mean, I don't know, $4 or $5 million, but if it just adds to the tab, QB, it adds to the tab.
That's okay. That's okay. They're willing to pay it.
Wow. Well, interesting.
No. All right, so let me get a couple of Facebook Lives here.
I'll look up.
I have to pull them up on my phone here.
All right.
Andy says, Shane, were you surprised by the targeting called on Bridges? Yes. I even said it on the air. I don't know if I've ever seen targeting to the butt.
That's such a bad call. Bad call.
Well, it's a rule because they did it to one of our guys, and then it doesn't have to be helmet to helmet. I learned something in this game.
Yeah, it's leading with the crown of your helmet, right?
Yeah. Dan says, looking at Spikes in the sideline, he played linebacker. He's bigger than 95% of the kids on the sideline. Yeah, he's a big. He was one of the bigger linebackers you'll ever see in football. Mike says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, Napier switching QBs was trying to keep either side from griping instead of playing the best QB to try to move the team, reactionary instead of coaching. Now, I think what he was doing, he was playing DJ to appease the fans is what he was doing. And I would have never done that because he's not ready, people. I'm telling y'all, he ain't.
No.
Not against a real SEC defense. You saw it.
Yeah,
he's young. I mean, it is what it is. QB Van Der says QB knows something, but not exactly telling us. All I know is I know who everybody wants is the freaking coach here. Will it happen or not? We shall see.
Oh man,
we're going to go down swinging. I
just wish they had called him before all this fiasco.
Well, that could have happened 3 years ago, but
it could have. It could have. Yeah. Hey, Mick, I was glad to see you and your kids before the game. Mick Kelly, really enjoyed at least the pregame. But
okay, let me address this. Yeah. 31 Ember says, "How are we supposed to get Lane?" And we're just assuming that's who people want, and we hope we get. He's going to make the playoffs and won't be about. Here's what people need to realize: who gives two craps about recruiting right now? You should not even worry about that. You should not worry about what this deadline is for this. Do not worry about it, people. The bottom line is you have to find the right coach if we want to win again in our lifetime. I mean, think about it. Okay, that's a fact. Because with the transfer portal, let's just say it is him. I don't care if he shows up in February 25th. Players will come play for him.
Well,
does it matter? Does it matter if you lose your entire team?
Yeah.
You got to look at who it is and what his track record is when it comes to recruiting, portal, whatever.
You think
if people want to leave, let them leave. He will have players, and I'm just using him as an example. I don't know if it's going to be him. I think that's who everybody wants. I think that's who we're going to take a shot at. That's just my personal opinion.
All right. Well, that's nothing wrong with that opinion. I mean,
but people worry about this damn recruiting stuff too much, man. It's important, but it's not important right now.
Yeah,
it's not.
I don't know. I've just kind of got to the point where I'm kind of out of answers. I don't really have any.
Well, the answer is we are a bad football team.
Well, I know that.
And we're getting ready to have a bunch of turnover, and it's not going to be great, but you're going to have to suck it up and quit worrying about when the coach is coming, if he's coming. If he shows up before the recruiting, I'm telling you, you got to get the recruiting out of your mind. It does not matter.
Oh, QB, do not scold the fans. They put up with so much.
No, I understand what the fans are talking about, but they worry about getting a new coach in here for recruiting. Who cares? Who cares?
I think it's just they want some stability. They don't see it right now. Yeah, he's under contract for a very long time still, 4 more years, I guess it is. But there's just something fundamentally flawed with the whole way it's set up. Whether you're paying these assistants too much money to do nothing, or whether you've got players out there who were really good at some point somewhere in America and have come here and forgotten how to play football. I don't know what it is. It's just incredible to me. But defensively, it is so egregiously malpracticed right now, defense. And you have seen this now for well over a good season and a half, and it hasn't changed. And that's what I don't understand, is that we can talk about everything, who the next coach is going to be, who this or that. Why can't these guys tackle anybody, QB? Why can't they stop anyone? It was 30-something-7 in Gainesville. It's appalling. It's appalling. He knows, too. Look, Philly's not an idiot. He knows how upsetting this is. He's not happy about it either.
No, and it's not his fault. I mean, if they offered you that contract, JC, and
listen,
you would
it's
take
not
it.
his fault for coming. I get that.
Philip in Enterprise, Alabama says, "Good morning, guys. This is on the Titan More text line. What do you see as the biggest problem? Is it play calling? Is it talent recognition? Is it lack of effort, or maybe scheme? It's everything." Okay, yeah. I just said it. We don't have great plays called. Now, listen, I argue with the guy. I try to tell this guy, okay, if everybody remembers the play that Marcel Reed, he fake right, roll left, and hit a wheel route where DJ Douglas was out of position for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay. Phenomenal play call on Texas A&M.
Sure.
If you flip it and the Gators do that, everybody's loving it. But that was poor defense with a great play call. So what I'm trying to say is the 2 touchdowns that we threw, Lagway threw one, Mertz threw one. Mertz threw it first, and DJ. Same exact play call. Phenomenal play call, design, 2 different people running different things. A&M busted their coverage just like the Gators did on that play, but it was a great play call with a mess up on defense. It happens, but the Gator fans only want to look at what we do wrong and can't sometimes tip your hat to the other team. Look, they whipped our butts in the interior linemen once again. That is the biggest problem with the Florida Gator football program is interior linemen on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I can't remember the last time the Gators had a guy in the front 7, mostly maybe an outside edge rusher, that the opposing team had to say, you know what? We have to worry about where number 52 is. We cannot let him disrupt our game. The last person I can think of would have been a Muschamp defender, like Dante Fowler.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody help me out here. That's where Florida's problem is on defense. They don't have those dudes, man.
No, they don't have those dudes. So does that require them to look for a defense guy or an offense?
So Iceman says, we busted coverage. Why would we give Texas A&M credit? We busted the coverage. It's still a great play. Even if you have good coverage on it, doesn't mean you're going to stop it. That's what people don't understand.
These guys don't take angles well. They just don't play well. And I guess it's so you say, okay, well, we've got our mind on who we want to coach down here. He's a great offensive mind, blah, blah, blah. His dad was a great defensive mind. But what about defense? Are they going to look for a guy that's a defensive coach? Or are you
here's the thing, JC.
Sure that's going to be an offense?
I'm not talking. I mean, there's nobody in college football now that plays great defense. We need average defense. Average.
Well, I mean, just average would be a dramatic improvement. Yeah. But Mike Elko is a defensive coach. He is.
Right.
And Kirby Smart is a defense-minded coach. He is. Is that what Florida's going to look for? It might be cheaper.
It's going to be an offensive guy. You can hang your hat on This is from Daryl. Says Shane, it's simply amazing how A&M had problems running the ball prior to playing us, but they found success with the inside power run that we couldn't. They ran like 4 plays the entire game. Our defense they really did. Our defense makes other QBs look like Heisman candidates. He could have done his taxes in the pocket. All you fans chanting for DJ Saturday. What did he do? Yeah, he's not ready. But this text says it's year 3 and Billy's only accomplishment is building a skilled flag football team. Just zeros across the board on both lines of scrimmage. Yeah, they're not good there. David Macon says, can we go back to a direct quote from Steve Strickland?
Scott
Who is
Strickland.
Steve? Well, he says Steve.
Steve.
So that may be. 2 weeks prior to the Miami game, Billy Napier will be Florida's head football coach for a very long time.
Very long time, yes.
That ain't going to happen.
He said that to Paul Feinbaum on TV.
But that's not going to happen.
You know, it does have to make you question why he would say something like that, but he was asked.
Well, he's supporting the coach that he hired. I mean, what do you want him to say? Get up there and say he's going to be fired?
Just say
sometimes you people need to read.
No, I get it.
What people say.
You say a very long time. You could have said instead, he is our coach today, and we are excited about who we play. You know, you can deflect any question, QB, but when you set yourself up for a very long time kind of quote, then you're going to get requoted that. So I'm not so sure it was the right thing.
Barone says, how many coaches would actually get the same job titles at other SEC or power programs? Billy G, I don't think any of them. You know, people forget Billy Gonzalez came from FAU when Mullen and them got fired here. I think he may have been out a year, went down to FAU, then they brought him back.
So, QB, help me out with something. I'm confused. You're telling me we don't have co-offensive coordinators in that box up there? Rob Sale, who is that?
Rob Sale's he's the offense. We have 2 offensive line coaches. He may have the title.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Callaway may have the title.
Okay.
Everybody has JC. Just because you have a title, all that means is that's how they pay you more money.
Oh, well, they're paying both these guys a mill to do what?
That's why I told you we have 2 defensive coordinators, Rob Roberts, who just came in, who's been around the block, and then the young kid. They're co-defensive coordinators, and they both make over $1 million.
Sounds like a cluster. Just absolute cluster F. Send help, 12 and 17. There it is.
Yep. Well, we got so many texts on here. I can't even read them all.
QB, I mean, they're going to go crazy.
I'm going to read Chris from Cottondale here on the Titan and Mark text line. So, Shane, you're 100% correct about recruiting not mattering at this point. I don't care what player, coach, or staffer stays or goes. Get the right guy, and we will win. Get Lane, and he can't let JC snap. You will throw, and me catch, and we will win more than they are. Oh, let JC be the snapper. Yeah. I could care less about recruiting. I don't care if we don't sign a player. You got to find the right coach. You got to find the right coach.
Yeah.
And let him to go from there.
It's come up empty, man. It's like you're pulling deuces, pulling 2s and 3s. I wasn't as well. I'm not going to bring that up. It's not important. What's important is, what's the plan? I don't think there is a plan. There isn't a plan right now.
Well, the plan is it's just what day will he be fired? They're all gone. They're all gone.
I just would love to know where this money's coming from, QB.
JC.
Yes.
They have some big donors that are writing the check. Okay.
Oh, God help us. All right. And then they're going to have to give the next guy an 8-year deal.
Look, it's not your money. So why the hell do you care?
But QB, it flows down. You know how this works. I mean, these tickets are not cheap.
This is not coming from the boosters. I mean, from the athletic department.
I get it.
These are private dudes that are taking the money out of their account.
So we're Auburn now. We just turned into Auburn. We're going to let.
That's fine. I don't give a damn. I'm perfectly fine, Jimmy from Yellowwood.
Okay. Well, Auburn's not, but that's fine. Okay, let's turn into Auburn. That's a great idea.
Todd says on YouTube, brought to you by Quad Plumbing, Lane isn't coming. Sexton will bait us for renewal of a fat contract at Ole Miss. Yeah. Look, Ole Miss has deep pockets too. Here's what's interesting. I think Jimmy Jimmy Sexton might be the smartest man in America. Think about this. I want to say, Jimmy, let's just say I know he represents Lane. I think he represents Billy too.
A lot of people.
Yeah. So he's usually trying to get the buyout of the guy they just fired to pay my new guy to come in there, and let's give him a big buyout in case you decide to fire him.
They got these poor presidents, ADs, and administrators over a rock, man, and just cracking their head open. And it's just one year after another. It's what a racket. Good for them. I mean, listen, it's America, I think, still somehow. But yeah, good for them. I don't know, QB. It was a disaster, but hey, listen.
Bill says on Facebook, Shane Lane will be at least $10 million a year. I think they're going to pay him more than that.
Well, he's making.
I think they will offer him more than that.
I think he's making $9 million.
He's making $9 million already.
He runs the store up at Ole Miss. Why would he want to come down into this dysfunctional?
Well, this is all I'm going to say. I know for a fact this has been his dream job his entire life. I was told this by some very close sources. He is the modern day Steve Spurrier. And I really believe he thinks, plus there's no state income taxes here, JC. Think about that.
True. Very true.
He loves to fish. It's much closer. He does have a daughter there, but who cares? Coaches have daughters all over the country going to college.
Yeah.
His other 2 kids are still out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oxford is a great place to live. They love him. You're right. They're gonna try to match it. Then he just decides what he wants to do.
Look, but QB, here's the problem. If Mississippi really does what I think they can do and be special this year, if they are that good, and if they do beat Georgia, why would you leave a place that's ready to make you the emperor?
Because JC, would you agree with this?
Yeah.
Is Lane a laid back?
He can be, but he's intense too on the sideline, QB. He's like you said.
No. I'm trying to find the term I'm trying to use.
All right.
Do you think Lane has an ego? Yes or no?
Of course. Who doesn't?
Okay. So do you not think with the history of you had these 2 Hall of Fame coaches, Spurrier and Meyer. You don't think someone's ego, who is a great coach with an offensive mind that is a lot like a Steve Spurrier, doesn't want to walk into he complains about their fan base all the time not showing up. 90-something thousand and turning it around. I mean, just think about that.
No, listen, it would be a great accomplishment, but guess what else would be? Winning your first SEC for a school that hasn't played ever in the championship game, and winning something there where you could have literally the entire state right here in the palm of your hand.
Look, I get all that.
Yeah.
But how many times have people said that, you can only go so far at certain places? So
they're building though. They've far exceeded what most people perceive them to be. And that is something that is, Florida before Spurrier QB was Ole Miss, and they didn't have anything. They didn't win. The school hadn't won an SEC. Spurrier shows up and wins the first one. And even though the 84 team, in my opinion, won the SEC too. But at any rate, Spurrier comes in and does something that's never happened here. And that's what Lane's doing at Mississippi. That hasn't done it yet, but he's going to try.
Gmail says, come December, Kiffin's buyout jumps up to $44 million. Why would it go from $4 million to $44 million?
I don't know. I don't know where all this information comes from, but I'm going to tell you right now, nobody's paying $44 million to Mississippi to buy him out. That's not happening. That's not happening.
No, I don't think that's correct. Plus in the state of Mississippi, you can't sign unless they change the law here in the last year or two.
Yeah,
you can't sign these long-term deals.
Well, but QB, I'm going to say this also, and I agree with Van Der. I want Gators coaching Gators, and I don't know how many times I've blew in the face.
Well,
Florida needs to hire a Florida guy. I don't like apathy. Apathy is worse than anger, and that's what you have. And those people over there, Strickland, this interim Yoo-hoo president, these are not Gators. They are not. They're just employees. We need Florida people to run the Florida program, and that starts at football. Why we can't hire a former Florida Gator to coach this damn team? Well, the first time they did that, it became the greatest period in school history.
Well, they didn't want to hire him. They had to get the boosters to go hire him.
Oh, I know.
So Lane gets $37 million if he's fired in his buyout. He only gets $4 million if he leaves.
He's not getting fired. Yeah, he's not.
No. So anyway, oh man.
Well,
Scott Carter's waiting. That went by way too fast.
Okay, guys.
We got to go, JC. We'll see you on Wednesday. Put your bag back on. We'll see you Wednesday.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep it.
Well, I'm going to keep it because until things get better, this is what we are. This is what we are, and I hate it, but this is the way it is.
Yeah. All right. That's JC with his bag. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Scott Carter. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogra State Farm, Electronics World, F45. Our touchdown sponsors, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Miapa Latin Cafe, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Nest and Wild.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe with 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Let's go back to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and it is the senior writer for FloridaGators.com, our man, Scott Carter. How you doing, my man?
Good morning, Shane. Doing all right, man. Little cloudy still up in Gainesville this morning, but that fits the bill, right?
Well, you missed it. JC was wearing his bag over his head like the Saints fans did back in the day. Yeah, you didn't get to see it since you're not on the Zoom today. I wanted to address this real quick.
This is Coach Steve.
I can find this dadgum. I'll have to look for it here. Scott, you were up in the press box, probably about 15 yards down from me. It was not good, man. It was not good at all.
No, it was so reminiscent of the Miami game. I remember, again, sitting there late in the first quarter and just it dawned on me that, wow, Texas A&M is just, the old cliche, bigger, faster, stronger than the Gators. And you know how the game works, Shane, when that equation rings true, it's usually not good for the team that doesn't have those advantages. And it was clear that Texas A&M, I just thought was the better team, the more physical team. And, you can dissect this in a lot of different ways, as I'm sure everyone is. I mean, there was some, just discombobulation on the Gators' part. It was just one of those days where you go into the game knowing that you need to get off to a fast start. Again, they didn't get off to a fast start. The whole, rotating quarterbacks, it seems to rarely work. That obviously wasn't the problem on Saturday. I mean, the problem has been and continues to be the defense, in my opinion. I look at this defense, and it's just not the caliber of a defense that you have to have in today's SEC. And this is something that's been going on now at Florida for, quite frankly, all the time under Billy Napier, and also the final season or two under Dan Mullen. I mean, these defenses, they're just not physical. They're just, you look at them and they just don't have the same edge that the opposing defenses often do. And that's something that, is going to have to be addressed. And, obviously you can also question the coaching and all that, which people are. It was just a bad day. It's just been a tough start to the season for Florida.
Yeah, horrible. Large Fry asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Apologize if I missed this topic, but are there any coaches on the staff that could act as an interim coach? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, in your opinion, that's why Billy has not been fired yet. I don't think they feel like they have anybody they could make the interim. I agree with that. If they were to ask me today who I would make the interim, I don't know if I'd have an answer for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculation out there. Obviously, Billy Napier has his press conference scheduled this morning as usual. When you're looking at whether this change will happen, I don't know. I'm not hearing anything internally, but of course, in a situation like this, it sounds like there's a lot of voices maybe involved outside the UAA. So that's just where it is with the program. The name that seems to be bandied about the most, if you're looking at that, is Dan Enos, who is on staff as an analyst. But at this point, it's all speculation, Shane. So that's where it is after a couple of bad home losses, and I'm looking at the national rankings this morning, and you've got Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Missouri, and someone else in the Gators still play, I think, 4 of those teams in the top 6 or 7. So it's gonna be a difficult stretch here, I think.
Scott, I'm sure Billy will be asked this today at the presser, but do you think he regrets doing the alternating the quarterbacks every series?
I didn't, like I said, I didn't think that impacted as far as him regretting it. I mean, I doubt he would say that, even if he felt that way. I think there was one point where in the second half they had some rhythm, I thought, with Graham after that scoring drive. Then he goes back to DJ, and it just kind of stalled any of that momentum. So that's just the danger or the inherent, I think, risk of alternating quarterbacks. I mean, eventually, if one guy's got the hot hand, to me, you've always got to ride that guy, whichever one it is. I'd say the same if it was DJ with that drive, ride the hot hand. And they got away from that a little bit on that drive, and it just, it killed their momentum. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be asked if he's reevaluating that this week, if he'll come up with another plan. But I think where everything stands right now, that's kind of a subplot to the bigger story here, unfortunately.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, because I know we made some bonehead decisions last year back to the Arkansas ending of the game with the great 2-minute drive, and then we ran the Mayday team on at the same time. Scott, did you happen to see that Dan, what is Dan's last name? The head coach of the Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions did the same exact thing, and it cost them because they didn't even get a chance to kick because you got a runoff if you have a penalty in the National Football League. They didn't even get an opportunity, and he said it was my mistake. I ran the Mayday team on, and we were clocking it, and he was furious with himself. So we're not the only people that do dumb stuff, I guess. So, all right. So Scott, as we mentioned, it's amazing, and I know people love offense because I love offense, and I've always said that offense has not been the problem. Not this year, last year, but I mean, I don't know what we have to do to play better defense. It's really crazy because it's been going on for 4 years with 4 different defensive coordinators.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it gets to that point, Shane, it's pretty obvious the answer. You got to get better players. I mean, does the Gator have some guys on defense that could be contributors on one of these great Florida defenses that we're familiar with in the past? Yeah, I think they have some good players, and they have some good young players there. But again, I mean, you saw it on the field Saturday. Marcel Reed, I mean, he was making moves and make people miss. That was, they're making memes out of him on social media. You've also got just that. To me, it starts with the physicality of it. I mean, you've got to be tough to play in the SEC. You've got to want to get in there and do it. Hey, I'm not saying I would want to do that because you've got to be of a certain mindset to want to get out there and do that. But look at guys like Brandon Spikes and Brandon Seiler and Devon, all those great players that we're familiar with. I mean, those guys, man, they love that. I just don't see that kind of desire or skill right now in Florida's defense. I do think, again, I think they got some players. I like Aaron Gates. I think he's one of those guys. He, to me, loves to get in there and be in the action. But you got to have more of those guys. You can't just have one or two. You need about 11. And that to me, that's just where it's at, because as you pointed out, Shane, it's been different coordinators, somewhat tweaks the system. And I remember in Grantham's last year or two, seeing the same kind of frustration on social media, the same kind of comments that I'm seeing now. So yeah, it is something that's been ongoing, and it's only going to be addressed through recruiting or either the right players in the transfer portal. But they're still working toward that. And, it's just the state of the program right now. That's all I can say about it,
Yeah. Rod says, Kirby Smart always says, Jimmy's and Joe's make the difference, not the schemes. I agree with that, but I tell you what, they had a terrible offensive day. The Georgia Bulldogs did. Carson Beck did not play well. Give Kentucky credit. Electronics World integration and design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment. Affordable local installation service and support. Electronicsworld.net. We got Scott Carter here talking a little Gator football. Yeah, so everybody's on here having Desmond Watson on the field tells you a lot about your program. I agree. Have nothing against Desmond Watson as a person, but he should not be playing SEC football. I don't care what anybody says. That shows you where you are. So, Scott, where do they go from here? Obviously, we go to Mississippi State, first road game. You can go back in the history. We've always struggled in Starkville.
Yep.
Regardless of who the coach is, the team, or even the great teams. They're coming off an embarrassing loss. It's an 11 a.m. start. It's going to be an early wake-up call, early pregame meal. I mean, this just plays right into the hands of Mississippi State.
Yeah, this reminds me a little bit about the matchup in, Kentucky last year in terms of just the early morning start. And the Gators on the road typically have never played well in those kind of games. But, Mississippi State obviously has its own issues right now. So toss up a coin and see where it goes. And then you've got all these other, scenarios flying around the Gators right now. So the game is just one part of the story right now with what's happening at Florida. So I think it's just a week by week situation where we'll see what happens. But just in terms of this matchup, yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult. I can easily see it going bad, and the way that Florida's been playing. Mississippi State will have the home crowd. They'll be pumped up out there because regardless of where the Gators are with their own fan base, they're still viewed as one of the premier programs around the country, I think, in the SEC. So a Mississippi State crowd is going to be fired up to see Florida come in there. So it's going to be a difficult challenge for the Gators, and they're going to have to be much better than what we've seen them through 3 weeks to, I think, come out there and get a win.
Yeah. Text from Brett and Jax on the Titan MR text line. Shane, do you think that someone is at least making the call to the agent of Lane Kiffin? Yes. I mean, that happens not just here in Florida, that happens around the country.
Yeah, in times like these, it's the behind the scenes stuff is, I'm sure, going in all directions right now.
This is from Robert in Fort Myers. Per Napier himself, they had a preset decision to rotate QBs regardless of the game situation. That makes 0 sense, doesn't it, QB? You forgot more football than I'll ever know, but man, that's a horrible deal. I've never had to experience that. I mean, I did a little bit in the NFL, but it was just a one series for a first round, highly drafted kid. The team hated it, but it was almost like they were forced to do it. I do not like it at all. I'm not a fan of it. I know Coach Spurrier did it, rotating Doug and Noah a few times here and there, but the difference is those guys were the same type of quarterback and they had experience, and I didn't like it at all. But that's what they decided to do, and I feel like he did it to keep the fans happy. Personally,
Yeah, I mean it's a tough spot to be in for the Napier and both players, and it's almost like a lose-lose situation for everybody, because you have a situation where like we saw Saturday, where the Gators got a little bit of rhythm there with Mertz, but you almost feel probably compelled to go back to Lagway if you're Napier, and then you have the fans cheering when Lagway comes in, so that's bad for Mertz. And then of course Lagway being the young guy, he's probably like trying to figure all this out, and that's kind of bad for him at this point in his career. So yeah, it's a tough spot, no doubt about it. Bad for him at this.
yeah, it was. DJ did some good things in there, but you could tell he was very confused at times, which is expected. Um, Ted says, "Can the boosters fund a new coaching staff and fund the NIL?" That's what boosters are supposed to be doing right now. This is from Joseph on the Titan MR. I mean, excuse me, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Scott, do you know anything about the Ron Roberts rumor? He supposedly said something inappropriate to a UF janitor, and it didn't sit well with some of the guys. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, that is off my radar, Shane. So, one thing I've learned over time is that when things are going bad, you're going to hear all kinds of stories. Some may be true, some are probably totally false. So, but I have not heard anything about what you're talking about there.
Yeah, John asks here or states, do you believe the boosters are moving to have Billy fired? If so, do you think it will be sooner or later? Look, I personally think he's going to be fired. I think most people do. It's just, when is it going to happen? And as I've stated, I don't think they feel like they have someone they can make the interim coach. But we will have a new football coach, in my opinion, next year. That's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I think you have to.
Yes. Yeah, it's just where the program is, Shane, and it's unfortunate because I think we all like Billy, and you were really hopeful, and it's not good to have to do this again if that's the direction that you end up going. I mean, but you just have to get it right, and bottom line is, as Billy said after the game the other night, I mean, he knows it's a results-oriented business, and when you're 12-16 in 28 games, that's just totally unacceptable at Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just totally unacceptable. So it's a tough situation for everybody involved because there's a lot of good people in that Heavener Center, and I've been through this now, Shane. I mean, I've been around long enough that this would be my fifth coaching change, and every time it's very similar. Every time this one's a little different, if that's the way it happens, with some uncertainty in other departments, of the University of UA. So I don't know what's going to happen, but you hate to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Joseph wanted to know if Kerwin got the job, would Cade come from Pittsburgh? Yes, Cade would, for sure. Megan says, I'm just here to learn how little I know about football and how recruiting doesn't matter. Megan, you're the smartest person I know about football. Congratulations, buddy. Congratulations. I wanted to, I'm trying to find this YouTube one that I wanted to respond to, if I can find it. Earl says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, DJ got no protection. Mertz protection was a little better. Neither QB can thrive behind this. The line's not good, but look, man, I told y'all DJ is not ready. This is not a shot at DJ, but he is not ready. Y'all looked at the Sanford game, and I told you Sanford is one of the worst FCS teams I have seen in the last 15 years come in this building. He's got a long ways to go. He's got a chance to be very good, but he was not ready to play SEC defense. Nobody wants to hear that, but that's my opinion. Andy says if Billy leaves this year, he'll have the shortest tenure at UF in the past 100 years. Is that true?
If it were to end at some point during the season, I do believe that it's true. You have to go back to, I can't remember the guy's name now, man, in the late teens, early 20s. I think he was here for a couple of seasons and went to the military. But yeah, I mean, it's unusual, obviously, for a situation to arise like this. I mean, we're only 3 games into the season, man. It feels like it's already been like 3 months. That's just where the news cycle and the speculation is. So again, I think that is accurate factually.
This says hire a new coach, but don't fire Billy, save the buyout money. You got to fire him and everybody in the building pretty much. We don't need all that stuff. We don't need all those 8,000 analysts. No reason. No reason. Rob says, we know DJ ain't ready, but winning 4 games this year with Mertz doesn't mean nothing. Get DJ experience. Well, is it good experience or bad experience? You know, I don't know how you approach that, but you got to remember too that sometimes when you, and I know this from experience in the NFL, when you put the young guys, say you're going to start that guy, the rest of the team goes, we have no chance of winning this game. I'm not saying that's how they're thinking, but it's a weird dynamic now because we all know what's going to happen eventually. There's going to be a coaching change. So, and again, DJ may not be here next year. We don't know what's going to happen with the dynamics of that, who the new coach is. Does he want to bring his own quarterbacks in here? I think people forget that, especially in today's world where you can handpick who you want to bring to your program with the transfer portal. All right, Scott, any good articles you're writing this week?
Well, preview the obviously the game, and I'll try to pick a good story out on somebody. I wrote about George Gumbs Jr. the other day, who has a very interesting backstory. So, but we'll just keep monitoring any developments and, see what Billy says today and the players as they try to regroup. And, these situations are always difficult, Shane, because, I mean, again, it's so early in the season and there's so much noise on the outside. And, I mean, it's a true challenge to keep focus for these guys. But Billy said the other night after the game his number one message to the team after the game was, we got to stay connected because it's you only got the guys inside the walls with you. So that's just the tone as we enter week 4 here in the 24th season.
Yes, indeed. Scott, good stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the plane Friday.
All right, Shane. Have a good one, buddy.
That's Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. Speaking of Comfort Temp Heating and Air, it's your number one local HVAC company. Professional and experienced technicians keep you informed throughout the entire project. Visit us at ComfortTemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Tomorrow we'll have Buddy Martin. I'm trying to get Bo Bounds from ESPN Mississippi. He takes care of pretty much all the sports talk radio there. Get his thoughts on Mississippi State and the other school up north as well. Everybody's talking about here, make sure DJ doesn't transfer. He's going to the portal. Look, people, y'all can't worry about that. As I stated, we don't know who the next coach will be and who that coach wants at quarterback. You got to remember that. And because it's totally different today now, because he can bring people with him from wherever he comes or go get them somewhere else. So, and I'm not saying he doesn't want DJ, because he's very talented. I'm sure he would, but may not be a good fit. It could be a great fit. We don't know. We can't worry about any of that. We can't worry about any of it at all. So appreciate it. Everybody chiming in. A lot of good stuff here. We didn't have enough time today, but we'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care.